Hello, and welcome to 12-Minute Meditation, a weekly podcast from Mindful and mindful.org that offers mindfulness meditations that are backed by neuroscience. In fact, the latest scientific research reveals that 12 minutes of meditation a day can yield benefits like increased attention, focus, and creativity, calm, resilience, and compassion. And so on this podcast, we invite you to do your 12-minute sit with guided meditations from today's leading mindfulness experts. With a new practice each week, 12-Minute Meditation offers you a way to bring those benefits of mindfulness right into your daily life. I'm Stephanie Domet. I'm the managing editor at Mindful and mindful.org, and this week, Ni-Cheng Liang leads us in a 4-7-8 breath practice to release stagnant air and find calm. This can be a particularly helpful practice for those with chronic or obstructive lung disease. Ni-Cheng Liang is a pulmonary physician, podcast host, and mindfulness teacher. And in the early days of the pandemic, she recruited 8 medical colleagues from across the United States to create the Mindful Healthcare Collective, which offers free online mindfulness sessions to healthcare workers, covering topics including basic breath awareness, mindful eating, even anti-racism work. You can read more about Ni-Cheng in the August issue of Mindful magazine or on mindful.org. Mindful.org is also a place you can find this podcast, 12-Minute Meditation, and you can subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter. You can subscribe to this podcast itself at any of the places you regularly find your podcasts, and that's where you can leave us a rating or a review as well, if you're so moved. And when you rate or review this podcast, it helps other listeners know whether 12-Minute Meditation is for them. But for now, for you, here's Ni-Cheng Liang.
Welcome to this guided 4-7-8 breath practice. The 4-7-8 breath was introduced originally by Dr. Andrew Weil, who was really considered the grandfather of integrative medicine. And as a pulmonologist, who's also a current University of Arizona Integrative Medicine Fellowship Fellow, I'm so honored to be able to guide you in this breath practice today. So the 4-7-8 breath can be used for situations where you're feeling particularly anxious, stressful, and even if you have some difficulty falling asleep. The 4-7-8 breath stands for the following. So you inhale for a count of 4, then you hold your breath for a count of 7, and then you exhale through your mouth, through pursed lips, for a count of 8. And it's not as important the durations in which these breaths happen, but the ratio of the inhalation breath, the breath hold, and particularly the exhalation breath that's most important. And so the exhalation breath, you'll notice, is twice as long as the inhalation breath. And what that does is it allows for the lungs to completely empty itself of stagnant air. And oftentimes people who have chronic lung disease, particularly those with obstructive lung disease, have a tendency to air trap. That is, air gets stuck behind more floppy airways during exhalation because of that floppiness. And so there's a tendency for stagnant air to just basically build up in the lungs. This 4-7-8 breath offers the opportunity to completely exhale. It's also a much more intentional practice in that if, for instance, awareness of breath might be anxiety provoking, particularly for lung disease patients, which has been the case for some of my patients, then perhaps a 4-7-8 breath may be more helpful. And then the last thing I wanted to say about the 4-7-8 breath before guiding you in it is that the pursed lips, when you exhale, that has been shown to basically stent open the airways. This type of breathing also activates your vagus nerve, which is your rest and digest nerve. So without further ado, let's go ahead and sit or stand in a position of comfort. You can close eyes if that feels safe for you to do so, or lower your gaze a few inches in front of you. Perhaps sitting more upright so that you're envisioning this string that's pulling the crown of the head upwards towards the sky, running down through the spine. Checking in and make sure that the head is top shoulders, atop hips. This allows your lungs to be in better anatomic alignment to maximize their ability to exchange air. And so we'll take an exhale breath out through the mouth. And then to start, you'll inhale through your nose for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then out through your mouth, through pursed lips. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll do that 3 more times. And I won't count this time, but I will cue you to change the breath to hold or to exhale. So do this together. So exhaling once again, and then inhaling through the nose. Holding your breath. And then exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Holding the breath. And exhaling through your mouth. One more time, inhale through the nose. Hold the breath. And exhaling through the mouth. And then returning to a normal rhythm of breathing. Perhaps checking in and noticing how you feel now compared to just a few breath cycles ago. Noticing the body sensations now. Noticing any emotions. Noticing basically your sense of being right now in this moment. After the 4-7-8 breath. So the recommended number of times to do this type of breath is going through 4 breath cycles up to twice a day initially. Sometimes if you do more than that, it can cause some lightheadedness and dizziness. So if that should happen, you can definitely decrease the number of breath cycles you do with 4-7-8 and slowly build up. But perhaps this is a breathing technique that you might want to try before you do your daily mindfulness practice. Incorporating an intentional, mindful type of breathing before your formal practice. The invitation is there. The choice is yours. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 12-Minute Meditation from Mindful and Mindful.org. I hope you enjoyed practicing with us. We'll be back in 7 days with another meditation practice for you.